Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in today. And welcome back to another exciting edition of the Skill Building Sunday Drawing Group here at Reinventing the Tattoo. This is a live stream started on June 26th at 1 p.m. I am your host, Jason Leeser. If this is working for you, please let us know in the comments and in the chat area. This way we know that everyone can actually, hear what's going on. And welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo community, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are encouraged to join into these live streams, real world events to share and inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. We beam out nearly every day, and with your help, have evolved into a quality network of amazing live and on demand tattoo and art shows that have all been receiving rave reviews. You can find us at both app stores, the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, or maybe you're beaming in from YouTube or Facebook, or maybe you're catching a replay on the Roku channel, reinventingthetattoo.com/Roku. Or maybe you're listening to the podcast in all the usual places such as Apple or Spotify, but you can always get the latest event schedule and notifications so you don't miss your favorite shows by going to www.reinventingthetattoo.com, which actually links out to everywhere. Once again, if this is working, please let me know in the comments. This way I know everyone can hear me and I'm not sitting here talking to myself the whole time. We have a number of weekly staple shows that we always encourage people to tune into, starting on Sundays at 1 p.m. with me, Jason Leeser, for the Skill Building Sunday Drawing Group. That's followed on Mondays at 9 a.m. with Drawing for Tattooers, hosted by James Wisdom, where we discuss basic drawing techniques and strategies to help you become better and faster at drawing tattoos for your appointments. That's followed on Mondays at 11 a.m. with the Tattoo Weekly, hosted by Lauren Gregory, Jake Meeks, and Gabe Ripley. And that's followed on Mondays at 9 p.m. with a subscriber exclusive drawing group with Guy Aitchison himself. If you are already a subscriber to the Canon or to the Reinventing the Tattoo basic learning course, this is included with that purchase, so you might as well take advantage of it. That in and of itself alone is absolutely mind-blowingly beneficial. Personally, I highly recommend it. I've seen a major increase in the skill level at which I'm drawing and thinking about tattoos over the past year. It's definitely one of the most helpful things I think I've ever done. All of that's followed on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. with a very good friend of mine and an incredibly talented artist, Ricardo Servant, where we go through and we discuss other things going on with tattooers in their lives, things such as networking and branding, or, attracting clients or setting goals, all different types of things that deal with being a tattoo artist. That's followed on Wednesdays at noon with the TattooNow show, where we go through and take a little bit of a deeper look at the business side of tattooing. And that's all followed on Thursdays at 6 p.m. with the Tattoo Collecting Podcast, hosted by Fawn Baker and Jordan Ruckus. We also have a number of special upcoming real world events that we're always encouraging people to join us at. Starting on July 29th through 31st, we have the Rubber City Tattoo Invitational in Akron, Ohio, hosted by Tony Urbanek. Supposedly that's going to be home to the first ever Tattoo Machine Olympics. We will see. That's followed August 26th through 28th with the Hell City Tattoo Convention in Phoenix, Arizona. And that's followed October 14th through 16th for the Resurrection Island Tattoo Convention, which I will personally be at in Wheeling, West Virginia. October 21st through 23rd, there's the Richmond Tattoo Arts and Music Festival in Richmond, Virginia. And December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, we have the International Puerto Rico Tattoo Convention in beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico, which I will also be in attendance at. I just sent in the paperwork the other day, so we should be locked into that. Would like to go through and take a quick minute to thank some of our sponsors and some of the people that make these shows happen, starting with Raw Pigments, an ink company that's tapping into the source. rawpigments.co. I've been personally incorporating these into my own lineup of pigments with great results. They heal fast, they saturate the skin super quickly. So that's less time you have to spend going over and saturating an area. The pigments are super vibrant and they're all light fast. It's vegan friendly, it's acrylic free. You really can't go wrong. I absolutely love them. In fact, it's pretty much all I use now. WorldTattooEvents.com, the largest, most comprehensive resource for tattoo events worldwide, with all different types of events and conventions constantly getting rescheduled. Stay up to date with the latest and greatest information by going to WorldTattooEvents.com. Next, we have Dermalize Pro, also known as Dermalize in the rest of the world. Protect your art. If you're still using plastic wrap to wrap your tattoos after they're done, maybe it's time to upgrade. Just saying. There's a lot of people out there that have been talking about it. It was designed by wound care specialists. It is going to definitely change the way that you deal with aftercare. Take a look at Dermalize Pro. Also, we have TattooNow.com, technology for tattooers, the leading edge in SEO and professional development for tattooers of all levels, and they're now accepting new clients. So if you're really looking for a way to go through and start attracting that clientele base that you really want to tattoo, take a look at TattooNow, reach out to them, start talking with them about possibly going through and using some of their SEO technology to go through and really start pushing out to people that you want to tattoo. Also would like to give a big special thank you to Guy Aitchison at guyaitchison.com, both professionally and personally. Thank you so much for all that you have done, not just for me, but for the tattoo community as a whole. I don't know if we would really be where we are today without your influence. So personally, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. Go to guyaitchison.com where you can pick up a copy of his Biomech Encyclopedia. He's got tons of DVDs. He's got some custom coil machines, original oil paintings for sale, and tons of other stuff as well. You can buy prints of some of his more famous paintings, all different types of stuff. Go take a look at guyaitchison.com. Would also like to give a very special thank you to Amy Nichols over at the Apprenticeship Diaries. If you are just starting to get into tattooing, this is where you're going to want to go to find out all that you need to know about apprenticeships. What makes for a good apprenticeship, what to look for in a good apprenticeship, what you should look for in a bad apprenticeship, what are some red flags, what to expect, what kind of information is going to be thrown at you, how difficult is it going to be? These are all things covered by Amy Nichols in the Apprenticeship Diaries. If you are already a tattoo artist and you're looking to step your game up, take a look at another one of our affiliates, the Fireside Tattoo Network with Jake Meeks. There are tons of videos and podcast episodes on there that have absolutely golden information that can really help you to start taking steps in the right direction to really kick your artwork up another notch. So once again, take a look at the Fireside Tattoo Network. And I would also like to give a very, very, very special thank you to LaunchPad, the new authenticated, vetted, verified tattoo artist community. It's very exclusive. It's invitation only. We had Forrest from Tattoo Smart on the show last week. Was absolutely incredible just getting to sit down and talk with him about, community aspects of being a tattoo artist and different things that, community can really be beneficial with. So go through, take a look at LaunchPad. It's Tattoo Smart Community. You do have to pay for it. It's, in my opinion, very reasonably priced. It's nothing outrageous. And it's all vetted tattoo artists. It is a open, welcoming place for you to go through and ask some of those questions that maybe you don't want to put out there in some of those Facebook groups that are pretty much known just for tearing people apart. So that being said, go through and take a look at LaunchPad, the Tattoo Smart community. We always ask that if you like the content in these shows, please, by all means, go through and give us a positive review. Leave a couple of nice comments, hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube or podcast channels. Help us get the word out, recommend it out to friends and colleagues. Anyone that you know that might be interested in tattoos, tattooing, or is a tattoo artist that you might think, or that you might maybe think could benefit from this kind of stuff. Also, if you would like to host a Reinventing the Tattoo event, or maybe you want to become a sponsor in our community, maybe you're looking for a tattoo critique, you can find all of that and more by emailing management@reinventingthetattoo.com. And welcome to today's show. Yay. Cool. Awesome. There's that. Cool. Doesn't look like we have. Awesome. We've got a couple of boys with us today in the YouTube watching in. We've got Lost Boy Mobile Tattoo. What's going on, man? We've got TattooNow, who actually joined us. Good afternoon. Kyle Olson, what's up? We've got James Wisdom. Awesome, man. Happy to hear that. Welcome in. James, if you want to jump in by any means, man, just let me know. Shoot me a message. Be happy to send you the link. In the room with us today, I don't know if he is still here or not, but we did have Ricardo Sertivant, who runs the Tuesday Feels drawing group every Tuesday morning. Ricardo, if you are still with us, feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. Otherwise, I'm going to start switching cameras around and get over to this painting I've been working on. But yeah, and let me switch my camera. Should be a little bit better now. Cool. Awesome. Well, Ricardo, if you feel like jumping in at any time, feel free to. Anyone else that would like to jump in, maybe you need the Zoom link or something like that, just send me a message. I'll be happy to send you the Zoom link. Ah, Ricardo is here. What's up, Ricardo? You're still muted, by the way. Yeah. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Ricardo to unmute himself, I'm going to go through and stop that and exit that. Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to go through and have some of the nectar of the gods here. And let's switch over to this guy. Actually, I'm going to switch over to this guy. So you guys can probably take a look and see that I've gotten a little bit more done since last week, but not by too much. But I will be working on this a little bit more today. I've literally spent the past week and a half working on a full half sleeve of Japanese waves. I think I've done like 12 different versions of it, so I'm kind of excited to get into work on something else. Ooh, yeah, if it's so just got a comment from Lost Boy. Yeah, if it's a little dreary, I don't know if that would be the best for video, but dude, you're always welcome to jump in, man. Just shoot me a message, and I'll be happy to send you the Zoom link. But yeah, so this is something I've been working on for like a week or so. Nothing crazy. Let's see if I can get a little bit more zoomed in. Oh, that's focus. Might be a little off center, but that's okay. Uh, Good enough for government work, right, guys? All right. Lost Boy, you can send me a message on Instagram at Philly Inc. or Facebook. I know we've chatted a few times, so I'm not sure the best way to for you to reach me is, but um, yeah. So either one of those works, or you can shoot me an email, and I'll just send you a reply via email. Yeah, got distracted. Right. So, where was I? So I already did my grise on the leaves to mute those down. So now it's time to go through. We'll start blocking in some of the blues. So yeah, anyone that does feel like jumping in or anything like that, just seriously hit me up. Let me know. If not, I'm more than happy with just talking to myself the whole time. Lord knows I probably do too much of that as it is. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So any comments on that are always welcome. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's a good thing when you go through and you talk to yourself too often, but hey, it is what it is. Let's see, is this okay? You got it. Let me send Casey a message. And Facebook Messenger. Facebook, as much as I am never on it, like never on Facebook. Um, Unless, I'm like on Facebook Marketplace or something like that. There you go. Casey should be joining us in just a second. Cool. And I'll be prepared for that. So the question is, I know I'm going to go with like a cool gray background, and I know I want the outer petals to be like a darker blue. I'm thinking more of like an ultramarine. But if I go with a Payne's gray background, that might be too cool. So now I'm thinking maybe I should go with something a little bit more mid-tone or a lighter blue. Because if I do a pale warm blue on the interior, then I'm going to want to go with a very light kind of desaturated blue on the exterior. To me, one thing that's always stood out with a lot of the prominent artists that I follow religiously is their use of warm and cool tones and how that can really set the mood in whatever piece they're working on. So it's something I'm always striving to get better at. Not necessarily color balance, but just really optimizing warm versus cool tones. I think to me is just something that's absolutely key. So let's start off. And this is why it's always nice to have a little test sheet of paper handy for whenever you're working with stuff. It's always a great idea. So let's go through and we'll just do a quick little test. We'll do True Blue. And this is Dr. P.H. Martin's Spectralite. And I absolutely swear by Spectralite or Hydrus. Their Hydrus watercolors are absolutely incredible as well. They're also light fast, so you don't have to worry about them, you know, fading right away. We'll just give that like a little wiggle with our water pen. Give that a second to dry. And that was the True Blue. Let's go with Cobalt next. Casey, if you're still watching, man, check your Facebook. I just sent you the link. And that was Cobalt. Ooh, that's a nice blue. I like that blue. So we'll definitely set that one aside. True Blue might be a little bit more of what I'm looking for the exterior, but I really like that Cobalt. And let's take a look at turquoise. Turquoise blue, no, ultramarine. I always find that even within cooler tones or warmer tones, there's almost always a warm and cool kind of balance between some of the tones. Maybe some of them are mixed with a little bit more yellow, a little bit more orange, a little bit more red to warm them up a little bit more. And some are typically mixed with a little bit more blue or green, maybe a little bit more true violet. And that'll give them a little bit more of a cool tone, and that's fine. There we go. Ricardo's back.
Hey guys, what's up, dude?
What's up, Cardo?
Not too much, man. Sorry about that. I was in the shop. It was really loud, and I had to charge my phone for a quick second. That looks nice. What you working on?
This is just a color test sheet. So I'm, you know, just basically thinning out, laying down some color from super thick and like super pure to like slowly mixed with water to see a nice gradient, to see which color I want to work with.
Nice.
For the exterior of this chrysanthemum.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with a Payne's gray background. So, and that's got a naturally cooler tone. Yeah. So I'm just wondering if I want to stick with something maybe a little bit more of like a warmer tone to the mum itself. And then that's going to allow, if I do cooler tone on the exterior, I think that might blend too much. If I do a warmer tone with the exterior, I'm afraid that might overpower some of the warm tones that I have on the inside of the flower. Because I'm going to do that with yellows, golden yellows, yellow ochres, maybe a little bit of orange. Well, you know what? I'm going to go with that true blue that I saw that I really liked, or that cobalt blue that I really liked. I can always make it cooler. Yeah, I had someone come to me a couple of weeks ago and set up an appointment for a half sleeve that I'm actually finding really, really challenging right now.
Yeah.
And it's something that I can usually just sit down and just bust out without an issue. And it's a full half sleeve onto a chest plate of nothing but Japanese waves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like super classic, super high contrast, very, very much, just dealing with a lot of flow and a lot of fit. And I came up with a couple of different drafts of it, and I just haven't been able to nail one down, but I think I got it. Just to like go through, and I mean, I've spent all week just working on this one half sleeve, just drawing different versions after versions after versions. In fact, before I get started painting, why don't I pull that up? Because I think
let's
that
check it
one
out.
should be, love to get some feedback on that.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up? What's up?
Just trying to get this Zoom stuff figured out again. I ain't used it in a while.
Yeah, that's technology for you. Technology, when it works, it's great, but when it doesn't, it's the bane of everyone's existence.
Yeah, I think I just gotta allow permissions for everything. Okay, is it working?
Yeah, we can see you. And
Where's
you
it going?
got your background canceled out.
How do you? Yeah. See, I told you it's been a while since I used it. Hold on. Sorry about that. None. There we go. All right. Now back out of that.
All right, so
All right, man.
this is,
Yeah, I've been watching y'all.
oh, right on, man.
So
I
this is
think
what
this is what I finally, oh,
that's
go
what I've
ahead,
been
man.
working on.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm halfway through doing the stages to try and make it glow. It's all fluorescent paint, so it'll pop with black lights.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
I figured,
man.
I already had it. Go ahead and turn it into something.
Absolutely, man.
Got the health department out here like 2 weeks ago and got cleared and got my establishment license and all that. I mean, ain't too fancy, but I mean, it does the job. Some prints my sister just got me.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a little kind of waiting area, and I'm a big chess person, so I like to play chess. But yes, man. I mean, simple, does it. Should be able to take it anywhere I need to.
Right on,
Hey,
man.
Jason, I hate to do this. My appointment just showed up, dude. I gotta get going.
Fine. Be that
I'm
way.
sorry, man.
All right, nice
I'll
talking
talk
to you,
guys
Bring it
later.
on.
Bye, guys.
Have a good one, bud.
See ya.
What's up, Jason?
Not too much, man. Not too much. Going through, I've been working most of the week this past week on trying to figure out this half sleeve. Of a guy I've got coming in next Saturday. Because instead of going to the beach and taking a vacation like I probably should, I decided to book an appointment. Because what else do I do? Right. I work. That's it. But I mean, I'd rather be tattooing than going and sitting on a beach. So
That's true.
but I think I finally came up with this as my composition.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's a good flow.
It doesn't exactly follow the flow of the arm the way that I was hoping to, but considering the fact that it is going to be extended over onto a chest plate and coming down onto the chest plate, I think it's going to get the point across.
Yeah, you'll have plenty of room to play around with it if it's going down at the chest then, because then you can just kind of continue that big mass down into whatever you want to do with the chest.
Right. And that's exactly what I was thinking. But it's one of these things where when you're only drawing waves, how do you get them to fit properly? Right? Because they're not crashing against anything. So you kind of have to make up the motion and the way that water is swirling and breaking. Otherwise, it would just be like a whole bunch of black and gray lines.
Yeah.
So how do you portray that motion? because everywhere that that water is breaking or cresting against, to create that break in the wave is off camera. So that's something you're not seeing. That's something I was really kind of struggling with. You know, it's kind of like dealing with an individual light source, right? If you have your light source in the piece itself, it's very easy to determine where that light is going to hit, right? Because that light source is in the piece. But when you have an off-camera light source or an outside light source, keeping that as a defined set location is often very, very difficult. You know, because you have to make sure that that light is going to be hitting exactly the same, no matter what element of the tattoo you're looking at. And since you don't have any kind of a visual reference as far as where is the direction that that light is going to be heading, you can get lost super quick.
Yeah.
But I think this gets the point across. I think it's going to work pretty well. Obviously, I'll probably end up doing a bit of tweaking as far as, you know, just the basic, you know, how everything's going to flow over top of everything else. You know, for example, if I go through and, you know, like, how am I going to go through and bring this all the way over onto the chest plate, which actually starts about here and continues down and over? You know, but I figure by having these here, I can always, you know, even if I branch something off here, and then maybe down a little bit more, and then I can always create a secondary wave source back here to really show that flow coming over onto that chest plate.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, if you leave those just super loose and just have them fade out real softly, then you shouldn't have a hard time kind of coming in and sculpting them later.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if I have a liner big enough, because I printed this out full size the other day, and it's not small. He does not have a small arm.
Right.
So it's like, do I just go in with like a 7 mag and outline with a 7 mag? Because I mean, that would probably be more effective.
I mean, honestly, probably, yeah. Probably get better results that way if it's going to be that large.
Yeah, it's like a buddy of mine, he outlines with a 23 mag. And I'm like, how do you do that? A
Layers.
23 mag. You're outlining, you're doing outlines and have won awards for your outlines, and you have never used a liner. How does that work? Right? And he gave me some tricks and some tips. And, you know, I find for doing like massive, super crazy thick line work, it's actually makes the job way easier. A lot of times I'll break out like a 5 or a 7 mag. I'll just outline with that if I've got a really super thick outline. But I think a simple straight pass with like a loose 11 and just build it up where it needs to be built up for some of the bold perimeter lines, I think that should do the trick.
Yeah, I think that'll work out great for you.
And then my only other question is, how the hell am I going to keep track of all of these gray lines? I feel like if I just stick to the basic isobar flow, I can always ad lib all those gray lines. I just have to make sure they stay consistent.
Right.
I think. I don't know. I'm still playing around with it, and like this was one version of probably 12 or 13. Here's one I started to shade in the other day. Which I really did kind of like the way that it had some of the smaller waves in the background. So I did really like that. But there were certain parts of it I just knew I could do better on.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, back to the drawing board, right? But that's just one of like, you know, here's another layout. And here's, base sketch layer for that. Here's another layout. Here's another layout. Here's another layout. All of these individually could work for any given area if it was cresting and crashing against something. But being alone and isolated with nothing but other waves, it makes it so much more difficult. And it's something I didn't actually think was going to be super difficult.
Right.
But it is what it is, we find a way.
Yeah.
Are you using any of the 3D models to see what that would look like on the skin?
No, I don't usually use those, just because I've been working in the method that I usually use for so long. Like in my mind, I can already see that here's my deltoid, right? So I know exactly where the center line is on my deltoid. I know that from here, the bicep's going to curl around this way. I'm going to have my tricep, that's going to curl down this way. And I know this is going to flare down like that, right? I know that my pectoral muscle is going to branch off from here and come down and then scoop around. And I know the top portion of the deltoid here is actually going to flow and follow the collarbone over onto the chest plate itself. And I've got this down to exact measurements. So visualizing it for me is something I've been doing inside my head for many, many years. Even looking at something like a full leg sleeve, right? As long as I have my measurements down correctly, I'll be able to tell exactly where the knee is, exactly where the calf is. I can tell you exactly where the start of the thigh is. I can tell you exactly where I'm going to stop on the inside of the upper thigh. I can tell you exactly how high up it's going to be, where the Achilles tendon is, where the ankle bone is. And that to me all comes down to my measurements, because I'm neurotic about measuring things and getting precise measurements so that when I go through to print my stencils, they are precise fit, exact stencils every time. But just from doing it so many times, you start to memorize like where certain things are, and you start to see a correlation between different parts of the body. For example, I know that this area here, this measurement that I have here, that is exactly where the armpit is. That's exactly where I'm going to start to wrap it all the way around his arm. I know that down here is going to be right above the elbow. I can tell you that the deltoid, though it does curl in, comes right about here with the bicep as far as accuracy goes. And then the tricep on this guy isn't exactly super defined. So it's going to be a lot more of a slim curve as opposed to something super angular. It's just, to me, a lot of that comes from experience. I'm always down to do a 3D rendering if someone wants to pay me to do that. Most people I know are just like, no, I'm coming to you because I like your work. It's like, oh, cool. I mean, if you want me to take the time to do a fully rendered version and put it on a 3D model, I will. But that's time out of my day that I'm going to take to do that. So that's going to be an additional fee for this tattoo. If they really want it, I'll do it. But that's time, and time is money. If I sat down and did that for every single one of my clients, that's an extra 30, 40 hours a week I'm not getting paid for. So to me, maybe it's not worth it, especially if in my mind, I can already see where those muscle structures are. I don't necessarily need to go through and visualize that. It is very helpful, for people that are, maybe they don't have that visualization process down perfectly yet. And that's totally fine. I'm not saying you can't do it, to go through and I'm not saying you can't do that to help yourself out and to say, oh, you know what, if I shifted all of this over just a hair, it would probably look a lot better. So let me go through and shift that over. But I've always found that when you follow the general shapes of the human body, things pretty much work out exactly the way that they should every time. I mean, I think 3D models are, absolutely awesome. I think they're a great resource. But it's always nice to keep in mind that once you have that process memorized, once you can see that as far as what the finalized product is going to look like in your mind, all you have to do is tweak whatever it is you're sketching and drawing and get that to show up on paper, because you already know exactly what you have in your mind. Now, as far as advertising and concepts for advertising, I think doing a 3-dimensional model and a 3-dimensional rendering can be great for stuff that you really want to start putting out there if you want to start getting into bigger pieces. But think about it like this, right? If you're working with a whole bunch of smaller pieces, right? Anything like softball sized and smaller, then I would say don't bother doing a 3D rendering, because you're not going to need to take into consideration the different curves and folds and bends of the body. So typically speaking, just do a quick little line drawing sketch. Even if I got rid of my measurement template and I just had, this line drawing sketch down, I could take this, maybe clean this up a little bit. I'll do that. And I'll do a cleaned up version of this, maybe in a light blue. Let's go with, so if I wanted to advertise this wave sleeve, I could very easily go through and take something like this, right? I wouldn't even have to add in any of these additional muscle lines. I could bring that all the way up and over, just sticking with a light blue. I could bring that up there. Bring that down. Bring this down. And basically just superimpose the blue over top of this, maybe even cut out some of it, to have like a secondary version that had erased areas, and people would know that this is an upper arm, right? Or you could always have it formatted as a thigh or anything of that nature. If people are really specific, then you can always get one of the, you can always do one of the Protoplast models from Tattoo Smart. There we go. That's a good one. So we can always do this. Flip, make it bigger. As far as like social media marketing and advertising for stuff that you really want to do, you can always do something like this with the Protoplast models, and that 90% of the time, it's going to be exactly what you need. And we'll just take this down a little bit more, and then we'll take this down a little bit more. Oh, it looks like I've got some additional lines on another layer. Nope.
I guess I'm just intrigued by the 3D model aspect. The marketing benefits, definitely have some aspects that I feel like anybody could explore. But when it comes to designing, what I meant with like using 3D models because they have them different layers and you can set them up as metallic. So say I was wanting to use and have a AI generated light source. Everything is going to base off of that light source that I put in there with a metallic layer. And it's going
Right.
to generate all of my light source so that everything is uniform. You get what I'm saying? It like takes a whole step out of things.
Right. Right.
Um,
Now you're talking about using that as an artistic reference, or are you talking about using that to like view the tattoo?
I could, well, when I'm designing it itself, if I'm setting the layer as metallic and then I'm setting up my I don't know what the words for it are, computer generated lighting, you know, studio kind of.
Right.
You can adjust those lights and move them around wherever you want, whatever color you want them to be. I think a lot of people that do a lot of them high contrast tattoos, you know, like blues and green and reds and blues and reds, and you know, with the contrasting light sources, like you can do that with those lights in that background. You can move them around and change everything with it. And then if it's metallic, it reflects those surfaces. So when you render it down to a 2D image, it keeps those light sources, if it makes sense.
That does make sense. Yeah. So like you can, and I think this is what you're talking about, where if you have,
Exactly.
right.
Now, if I had a design on there and I had it set as a smooth metallic background, it's automatically going to mirror and calculate all those different shades and angles to the 3D platform. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And then you had been talking about the trying to figure out how to get waves to crash when there's nothing really crash against.
Yep.
I mean, whenever I ran into that, I think I always used waves crashing against waves, like using the anti-flow waves to crash against
Right.
the.
Right. See,
I always
like to start out at like the corner elements, anywhere where you have like a corner or a crease or something like that, where you can go through and just develop, you know, something crashing from out of that corner to really start that whole process. I always find that that's always helpful, because a lot of times people are left with corner gaps and like they'll not know, like for example, with the back of an arm, right? Most of the time people will leave like that nice halo area
Yeah,
right around the armpit, but then it's like there's almost never anything visually interesting in this area,
it's true.
right? And I mean, for understandable reasons, because that's going to be one of the least viewed parts of the arm, right? So I can understand the concept there, as far as like, well, why would I want to put something visually interesting back there when no one's ever going to see it except for someone that's walking behind said person? And even still, even in a t-shirt, you know, most t-shirts are going to come down to that area or that line. So it's almost always going to be covered. So that's why I like to focus on areas like that, and, you know, just start coming up with like different ideas to have different things crashing, more or less keeping those as like almost an origin point to show that, hey, this does start somewhere. Maybe it's under here. Maybe it's in the armpit area.
He's sweating
We don't
profusely.
know if there's a big rock. Yeah, exactly. Right. You know, maybe this guy's just a sweaty human being, and, you know, this is just a reflection of him fighting with his longtime affliction of being a sweaty individual.
Right.
You never know. That could be a thing. You know, but I always try to like start out at little corners or start out at starts of curves, right? So if I was going to go up over the top of the deltoid, I would start, generally speaking, once again, from the back of the armpit, work my way up and over, and follow that shape. You know, in order to really maximize the flow on top of the muscle. You know, occasionally I'll go through and I'll, just for grins, I'll start out and I'll want something to cross over top. So once again, I'll start out with a curve and then start playing around with just like S curves and C curves, and just see what lines up where. You know, always trying to accent and follow that initial shape. Now, it doesn't always work out the way that you think, and that's okay, because that's why we draft and sketch and sketch and draft and thumbnail and thumbnail and thumbnail. You know, so sometimes I'll start out with something like that, knowing that that's, yes, it's going to have anti-flow built into it. But I also know that at the end of the day, visually speaking, it's going to fill that whole spherical or curved area. Now, where things I always find get a little bit more interesting is when you're trying to bring things down into multiple planes. Say you've got a plane here, you know, tricep, bicep, deltoid, basic planes, right above the elbow. So when you're crossing multiple planes, that's where I think things can generally get a little tricky, because especially on the upper arm, you've got your basic curve here that curves that way. Then you've got your tricep that comes down this way at like a really weird, awkward angle. The deltoid is actually built like a teardrop, an upside down teardrop shape. So it's like, okay, well, now we've got visual line here, visual line here. We've got another visual line curling back in this way. We've got another visual line curling back in this way. You know, so as long as I'm sticking with those general lines of sight, those general lines of interest, or as I like to call them, visual lines of interest, which are naturally occurring, usually I'm on point and everything has a great flow and fit. Everything's going to move well with the body. And, you know, all I have to do from there is figure out what to do as filler. You know, maybe have like another little wave crashing back here. Underside's basically just going to be connecting elements. You know, once again, we'll probably have like a little bit of a sweat splash. This guy probably needs to use a bit more antiperspirant, you know, because he's got sweat pouring out of his armpit.
Look, that's going to stick with you for the rest of this design. You're going to think about that.
Dude, I'm not going to stop thinking about that.
My bad, man. I got a bad habit of doing that.
It's all good. Looks like Gabe's coming in to join us. What's up, Gabe?
Hey, how
There
are
he
you?
is.
I'm here at Unify Tattoo, and I want
Oh,
to show
yeah?
off some of the artwork here. How do I do this? Aha! Yeah, look at this
Hold
shit.
on. Let me spotlight. Whoa.
So this is Pepper's work, and she's been a pretty sick painter tattooer for probably 2 decades now, and so I'm pretty excited to be here. Look at this. Obviously, here this is
That's
their
a sick triptych.
yeah. This is I'm just gonna wait around. This is like the event space that they have here, and but yeah, this
So
is
much room for
oh,
activities.
we will be coming back, that's for sure. And we got
And where is this located?
Holy
this is in St. Augustine, Florida, right? So you fly into Jacksonville, and it's like an hour south, right on the beach. And
Nice.
you know, the full-on art gallery style tattoo shop, obviously. And yeah, I've been down here helping set up some of their computer stuff, and they'll be streaming here. I was streaming on Monday. Art's going to be doing working on a back piece, and This is all Pepper's artwork here still. And this is all our new stuff, huh?
Interesting concept. I like it.
Yeah. I think she talks about I did an interview with her yesterday where she talks about all of the concepts behind the paintings and whatnot. Yeah, I'm fucking pretty excited to be here. What are you guys working on?
I was gonna set up to work on a watercolor painting, but Casey and I were just discussing 3D modeling, its potential applications, fit and flow, different benefits that could come in from working with 3D models.
Yeah, 3D is fun. I love 3D. I saw, I used to 3D model in 92, 93 when you practically had to be a programmer to do it. But then people like you that could actually draw started doing it. And I was like, maybe I'll program.
Yeah.
Now they're making the 3D, like the ZBrush, all those tools are making them way more accessible to people. But
Yeah, I
it's like,
still
okay,
remember the old CAD programs.
CAD, yeah, sure.
Oh man. That's why I think I'm so intrigued by it, because something from my past I played around with, never really went too far with, but now being able to use those transferable skills, like Blender and all the programs I use on my computer for my streaming, like I feel like it's got a lot of potential.
Hell yeah. Okay, I'll give you one quick peek over into the to the main room here, and look at that. And then, boom, the tattoo shop.
Whoa. That is a huge studio.
Yeah. And,
so that's more of like an open floor plan.
Yep. Yeah. There's let's see, 2 or 3 booths in here, and then 2 or 3 over there.
I could literally park my tattoo shop inside of their tattoo shop.
It's, yeah, and then here's the chandelier. I was so psyched with my chandeliers, but look at this.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
An octopus chandelier, like they had to get into that. Really?
Yeah, and then
really?
actually, know where
You're
I am
just showing off
on
at that point.
But it's mixed in with all the classic flash.
Oh, is that Cherry Creek I see?
I think a lot of it's Tattoo Flash Collective.
Okay. Okay.
But this is like, obviously parts way into the traditional.
That snake is sick. Who did that one?
Kate. This is I don't know, JB.
I really like that.
It was some Martin Lacasse flash up there and all that.
Yeah. That dude is a machine.
Yeah.
That dude
Old
is
City,
just,
Old
he
City,
is
huh?
Oh yeah, I do.
Lacasse back in the day. Yeah.
Actually,
So,
speaking of Old City, I've got something for you to take a peek at. Something I just dug out of a box the other day. So anyone that might be familiar with the Philadelphia Tattoo Convention knows that Troy designs all the shirts for the tattoo convention. And they're all based off of paintings that he's done. And I was fortunate enough one year at the Battleship Olympia Tattoo Convention to go through and pick this little gem up for a steal. We'll remove spotlight, view, gallery. Let's do.
oh, that'll be nice.
Yeah. So, and it is the original one, and you can see like some of the rough sketches on the back.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So this was the original painting. So anytime you see anyone walking around with like the classic traditional Liberty Bell, Philadelphia convention hoodie, which I swear is like everywhere. I even ran into someone in Canada with the hoodie. And I was like,
awesome.
oh, hey, I have that original painting. But it was yeah, I picked this up. I think it was like $60. He was doing some kind of a benefit for someone that was stuck over in Europe that needed surgery and basically didn't really have any money to get them home. So he went through and did like a little original painting fundraiser for them. So it was pretty cool.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Sweet. Well, hey, I just wanted to be in, say hi to everybody real quick, and then I'll be listening in the background.
Right on, man. Right on.
Awesome. Have fun. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Later.
All right. Back to.
Man, that was a nice job.
Yeah, dude, that was you don't see too many studios in the world that are that nice.
Yeah.
I've been to quite a few in my day, and I have yet to find any that are that nice, let alone that big. But I think that's why it looks so nice, is because it is that huge. You know, everything's nice and spread out. There's a space and place for everything. You know, it's nothing's like right on top of each other. And that's kind of why I was asking if it was more of an open floor plan or if it was more of like an individual artist area kind of studio. I personally have always found that a lot of the, as much as I do like the open floor plan studios, I have a very big tendency to go and lean more towards the private areas, just out of personal preference, because I like to have my own little space where I can go through and I can decorate it the way I would want to decorate it, with my paintings, with my artwork, you know, my toolboxes and things that I found that really help me work a little bit better and more efficiently with the work that I do. That's just, once again, what I have found I tend to be attracted to in a place that I want to work at. But I really like the way that the open floor plans look. So it's, to me, it's tricky.
So
To say the
I like
least.
big shops like that and open floor plans. I've worked in a bunch of, you know, I hate using the word production shops, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know, maybe I'm just at a point in my life where I would rather have my own little space. I don't have to deal with any other personalities. I ain't got to deal with any money other than the money I'm putting into it. You know, I deal with all the overhead, all the, you know, expenses, all that. I don't have to deal with anybody else's, you know, opinion or choice about things. And I can, like you were saying, decorate it myself, put my own stuff, my own, you know, let it be me, my own space.
Right. And that's something that I think all of us go through and grapple with at one point in time or another. And I really wish Ricardo was still on the line right now, because I know he's probably got a whole bunch of different comments about that. Because
Yeah, I
he's
got
coming
stoked when I
from,
seen him
you know,
hop on
working in
there.
a private studio. Yeah, he had to go. He had an appointment come in, so he's
I get it.
no longer on the line. But he just went from private studio back to working at a more or less a walk-in shop with other artists. You know, but that was his entire reasoning for starting his own place in the beginning, was that he didn't want to have to deal with other personalities. He only wanted to have to worry about himself, you know, and didn't want to have to deal with egos or, you know, anything along those lines. And I think that's why so many people started to go the route of working at a private studio, because they got sick and tired of it, you know, and that's a legitimate reason. Like, you shouldn't ever have to work in a place where your mentality and your personality is in direct conflict to someone else, especially if that someone else is the owner. you should never stay in an environment like that because no good's going to come of it.
Oh, you remember all the stuff
with-
from last year? I was
I
telling you
do,
about,
very
yeah,
much
man.
so.
That was enough for me. I was batting 1,000 with some of the shops I was going to. Yeah, I'll make my own.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those things. Sometimes it takes looking at different locations, looking at different areas, looking at, you know, different personalities around the country. You know, you've got people in California that typically have a little bit more of a laissez-faire kind of, you know, relaxed view on certain things, where they're like, yeah, we'll get to it. It'll happen. You know, maybe not right now, but you know, it's on the list, you know, versus the New York mentality where it's like, why is this not done? We just came up with this idea. You agreed to this idea. Why is this not done right now?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
I think
where
that's
it's
a
that very
perfect,
high pressure, very high stress kind of environment where it's like now. So sometimes it's more about going to the location that's going to be the most beneficial, even if that means moving to a different part of the world in some cases. You know,
that's why I
like
love the
you want to
concept.
be in an
It's got
environment.
wheels. I've got wheels on my
True.
tattoo shop. I can go anywhere. Don't let me figure out how to make it float.
That would be awesome.
That'd be epic, right?
That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, that actually mirrors what a buddy of mine, an idea a buddy of mine tossed out to me a few years back. He's like, dude, what if we talked to some cruise lines and opened up a tattoo studio on cruise ships?
Dude, that would make, I mean, that would make sense. Literally.
We would have to have, and I mean, I actually really started to legitimately look into it because I was like, is this even possible? You know, is it? What if we run out of something, you know, while we're in the middle of the Atlantic? We can't have supplies helicoptered out, you know, we can't have like an airplane fly overhead and, you know, parachute down supplies for us, although that would be sick.
For the right price,
But
you could.
Amazon will fly it
well,
to you.
no, true. For the right price, you definitely could. But it's like, is this even feasible? You know, and it's feasible. It's definitely a possibility.
I think it'd be,
But
I mean,
there were so many different things to consider as far as, okay, well, if we talk to a cruise line about it and we wanted to put one in to say 4 out of, you know, however many ships they have in their fleet, we would then have to have artists to man each individual studio, you know, people that knew what they were doing, that were familiar with management, customer service, finance, that we could trust, that we knew would not rip us off, which is a big thing.
Yeah.
Because like it's just like being a studio owner, right? That owns multiple locations. You need to have someone in charge of that additional location that you know for a fact you can trust, right? That you know is not going to rip you off, that you know is not going to steal from you, that is not going to do shady stuff while you're not around. You know, you want to make sure that you have someone that is 100% trustworthy. You know, so dealing with that, especially because you're probably not going to see them for a few months at a time.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, it is feasible. There were a lot of logistics involved with, okay, what do we do for liability? What would we do for commission rates? What would we do for, you know, travel? Because say you end up docking somewhere that has a lot more strict regulations. Say, for example, you dock in Europe, or you enter European waters, right, on a European cruise. Well, now you have to abide by EU standards as opposed to American standards, because in America, standards are all over the place. There's no national regulation on it. And because there's no national regulation and things vary so much from place to place, you can get into a little bit of a pickle, right? Especially if you start working internationally. I found that out the hard way. You know, when push really comes to shove, you need to make sure you have all your ducks in a row if you're going to be working internationally. So it's like, okay, how do we go through and abide by those regulations? That was a hurdle we had to contend with. You know, so there were just so many different things to consider. Was it feasible? Yeah. Was it possible? Yeah. Would we probably be operating at a loss for the first, I don't know, 5-10 years? Probably. You know, and then we sat back and looked at it and said, is this worth the effort? And for all of the hoops we would have had to jump through, you know, we sat down and basically said it was a great idea, but it might not be worth the effort.
A lot of logistics, man.
Someone else will
Yeah.
take that challenge on.
I know.
Yeah,
not-
that's an idea for someone else to handle. But like, that would be absolutely amazing because you would essentially have somewhere to stay for free.
Elon Musk
Right.
can make it work.
He probably could if he was interested in doing that. I don't think that that's big enough for him to actually, you know, consider for more than a few seconds at a time.
Keep
He knows what the
messaging him, man,
tattoo
telling
world
him.
is.
I keep messaging him, telling him I want to be the first tattoo artist to tattoo in space, but he ain't got back to me yet.
Yeah, that would involve a lot of very, that would be really tricky.
No gravity pulling things down.
I'm just thinking about
Yeah.
keeping all the pigments in your ink caps.
Well, I don't think you'd have to have like pre-filled tips or something. You know what I mean?
Or like some kind of like a silicone like barrier to
Yeah,
go
that's
through that you would be able to like dip the tip into, get a little bit
Like a
of pigment in
membrane.
the cartridge. Yeah, like some kind of like a semi-permeable membrane or something.
Well, they have those like
Um,
water bubbles that you can like eat. So maybe something like that with ink.
No, you just got to chase your ink. You just got to chase your ink around the capsule, man. Your red's over in the
Yeah, I
corner, you
don't
gotta
think,
go get it.
I don't know if NASA would be all about that. They might be, but
I mean, you can tell them that's normal.
no, totally normal for us to get, you know, paint and stuff like that everywhere. Totally normal. It's like, yeah, that all those the new like jeans that are coming out with all the paint splatters on them. Yeah, they got that idea from tattoo artists because we've been rocking that style for 30
I know,
years.
right? No royalty checks or nothing.
Right?
I don't know if I own any
Yeah.
clothes without ink. Some sort.
I've got one pair of jeans and one pair of khakis that I have never worn to the studio. And I keep those set aside, tucked away in a closet, just in case I have something where I need to wear them. You know, kind of like owning a suit and tie, right? Like you need one of those in case you have to go to court, in case, you know, there's a wedding or a funeral or something like that.
Emergency khakis.
You know, you always, exactly. You always want to have something like that on hand, just in case. Then again, knowing myself and my family, we're the type of family that you'll see tailgating at a funeral. So,
Might have did that.
you know, yeah, it's like a family tradition of ours. It's great. You know, we'll crack a couple of beers in the parking lot before we go in for the memorial or whatever. You know, like a nice little final hurrah.
Yeah.
That seems like a healthy way to take care of things.
Absolutely. You got to pour one out for your homies. Oh, it's official, guys, by the way. Paperwork has been submitted. Booth has been paid. I'm officially working at Puerto Rico this year.
Puerto Rico.
Very excited. Yeah, dude. In
Congratulations.
December, too. Oh, no.
Man.
Tropical island in the beginning of December when it's starting to get cold. What a shame.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough time, but you know,
Should
Somebody's
I
gotta
If
send you
that's-
some goods to help you hold off? I know it'll be rough.
Oh, I mean,
for you.
drop them some packages.
it's going to
Yeah.
be, it's going to be a tricky time, man. It's going to be a tricky time, but you know, it's cool.
You have to get
mean-
by with lotion bodies and Mai Tais, man. You'll just have to survive.
It's going to be rough, man. It'll be a rough time.
You can't do
It'll
it.
be a
Let me
rough
know. I
time.
think I can fill it for you.
I mean, you know, this is kind of like my burden to bear, man.
Right.
You know,
right.
it's what I have to go through. I appreciate the offer, you know, but this is me having to take one for the team.
Understandable. Yeah.
Yeah. Feel so bad for you.
You're a
Just
brave
happens to
soldier.
be the time Hawaiian Tropics doing their photo shoot down there too, huh? Man,
You know, I actually met a couple of those Hawaiian Tropic girls before.
I met a couple of them
I was on a
myself.
flight out to California. I was
Met them
going
in
out there to visit
California.
family and get tattooed. And they were some of them were connecting a connecting flight from, I forget where they were. But I mean, super nice people, you know, absolutely gorgeous. But you know, just average people, nothing crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also got to meet a couple of NFL cheerleaders on a flight over to England one year. That was interesting.
I'm raising one. That's what she wants to
Yeah,
do.
seeing them, seeing those cheerleaders after they had just woken up from like a 6.5 hour flight, you know, no makeup, no hair done, no, you know, just generally feeling like they had just gotten off a plane. I mean, everyone's going to be a little bit rough at that point. You know,
It's expected.
yeah.
You only keep spirit up so long.
Yeah, truth. But yeah, it's you know, when you start traveling frequently, you never know who you're going to run into ever.
Yep. That's one of the biggest things I liked about traveling as much as I have, man. Like I got one state left. That's Hawaii. But getting to meet people, you know, experiences, because you do never know who you're gonna meet. I don't know, man. Like I love it.
Yeah, I met Mike Tyson in a back when FYE was a thing, you know, the CD store.
Oh yeah.
I met him at an FYE in Washington, D.C. as I was on my trip home from Virginia for Thanksgiving one year. You know, it was like, what are the chances that I'm actually going to meet him ever in life? And here he is walking around a CD store.
Should have got a picture with him biting your ear off.
No,
It
no. I mean, that would have been funny, but
would have been fun. Maybe the second time you meet him.
yeah, maybe if I get to meet him again.
I'll be watching
but
some
you
of his
never really know.
podcasts. He dabbles around with some pretty exotic things. Going out to different levels of, I guess, awakening is what he calls it.
Yeah, everyone's a little bit different, man. I've been one of those people where, you know, I always find my awakenings through reading and going and experiencing different cultures. That's where I've found the most beneficial awakenings take place, but that's, personal opinion. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
if
can
you
get
really
that.
want to know and you really want to experience a different way to look at the world, go
Immersion.
travel to a country. Yeah, go be immersed in another country that has a completely different set of cultural standards and values. Go fly out and spend a few weeks in India, in lesser known parts of India, and just go and experience that. If that doesn't wake you up, nothing will.
Right.
Go visit lesser known South American countries like Panama, right? When you say South American, people are like, oh, Brazil, oh, Mexico, even though Mexico is Central American. Technically so is Panama, but whatever. But it's like, go
You said
visit
South
Guatemala.
American, first thing I think of is Colombia, Venezuela. I'd love to go down there. That'd be pretty cool.
Although is Venezuela's attached to the northern coast of South America. Colombia, I believe, is actually,
Colombia, not South America.
isn't that the island right off the coast of Venezuela?
Don't know. I'm gonna be honest,
I'm pretty sure that's an
my
island.
geography acumen may fall short right there because I ain't really paid attention. Colombia's just got that, I don't know, just like to be able to say, hey, I went to Colombia.
No, Colombia is right next to Venezuela. So where
South
Panama
America.
meets South America in the south, it meets in Colombia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Aruba is the island I was thinking of right off the coast of Venezuela. Yeah, go visit another country that has completely different cultural standards and just be amazed at how quickly you start to change your points of view.
Sorry, I'm making some coffee.
Gonna make me a cup? I'm almost out.
I mean, I got that on a micro scale too, coming from the West Coast over to the Midwest a little bit.
Well, and that's kind of what I was talking about. Sometimes you have to find out where your people are, right?
Yeah.
West Coast vibe is very different than the Northeast.
Yeah,
It's a very different vibe, very different type of mentality and attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived out there for 10 years in Central Valley and then Bay Area and down around LA, Orange County. It is a completely different world.
Yeah, you said Orange County. I knew exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, man, IE, Riverside, all around there.
Oh yeah.
I was a firefighter up north by Garbersville, Arcata.
Okay.
That was a whole nother life ago.
Hey guys, we just got called out. Julian Escobar says, I am from Colombia. You need some geography lessons. I do. I'll admit that.
Hey, see, I planned ahead. I thought I might have been off, but when I was thinking southern areas I'd like to go, those are in the list. I wouldn't mind going to Venezuela and I wouldn't mind going to Colombia.
I knew my geography was off, so I did not weigh in on it.
I will say this, Colombia has the best coffee I have ever had in my life.
See, and that's part of the reason I'd like to go there.
My father used to work for a company that did all different types of contract negotiations for South American countries. So he was down in Caracas, he was down in Bogota. He even went to Lima once or twice to do, contract negotiations for different American companies because he was born in Panama So he grew up learning both Spanish and English at the same time. You know, being native Spanish speaker, understanding cultures and customs of different places. He was very effective at it. But he brought back some true, real, legitimate Colombian coffee before, and it was absolutely mind-blowingly delicious. Highly recommend it.
You ever tried Sumatra?
Yes.
Dude, I love
Well,
Sumatra.
not like real, like fresh Sumatra coffee, but like
No, it's
I'll
got to
pick
be
up
in a
some.
weird bag. Looks like some kid done packaged it. Like I'm not talking about the Starbucks Sumatra, which it's all right. You know, it's like the domestic beer version of Sumatra. No, I mean
Yeah,
like
it's like the
paper
Coors Light
bag.
of Sumatra coffee.
Yeah. I got some in Seattle, man. It was amazing.
Yeah. I really need to get a hold of my friend Ellie. Ellie used to work for she used to actually roast coffee at one point in time for one of the local coffee houses. And she would be the one that would sit down and be like, okay, where are the beans from? Okay, what kind of flavor are we going to have them, have? Okay, we need to set the roaster at this temperature. We need to roast them for this amount of time to get this kind of a flavor. It's a science, man. And she was telling me about this stuff. My mind was blown. I was like, I got nothing. I got nothing. I can't tell you that much about it because I'm not that knowledgeable about it. I know coffee that I like.
Yeah. So my sister's worked for Starbucks for, I want to say 15, 20 years now. And I tell you what, man, I go in there and I watch her work and it is like she is doing it all on autopilot. But to sit there and look at what she's doing, like there's no way I could ever set up for a tattoo as fast as she is doing what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like there is no part of my work process that is as quick as her. Like she'll make 5 venti lattes at once, and have them all precise and measured out. And some people want their stuff roasted, longer than others. And like, there's no way I could do that job. I'm sorry, no matter how much free coffee they give you. I just spin around in circles.
So we did get another comment from Julian Escobar again.
You invited us down?
Yep, it's all good. Please feel free to come here. You are more than welcome.
I was joking.
I mean, I'm down to travel.
Hey.
Don't tempt me with a good time.
I was born to it.
I was actually talking to a very good friend of mine, which I don't know if anyone is interested or not, but there may be a chance that I will be going to New Zealand in the spring.
Oh man, so much history of tattoo over there.
Yeah.
So much history.
Yeah.
That's on my top 10 places I want to go. Fiji.
I want to go over there and get a hand done traditional type of New Zealand tattoo.
Okay.
I think that would be a great experience. I'm also kind of interested, and I'm going to start reaching out to a couple of artists that I know that own studios in New Zealand to see if maybe they would be able to put me up for a guest spot so that while I'm over there, I can take a little bit longer and I can go through and actually, spend a little bit more time there instead of fly in by a Thursday and leave by a Tuesday kind of deal, which is what most people do for conventions. I'd really like to take time to be over there to understand it, to get to know the culture, to get to know the people, what the tattoo scene is like over there, to really get a better grasp of culturally, how is the tattoo world over there very, very different? What makes it different? What makes it unique? What makes it, special to that kind of way of life? And it's only something you can get by being in a specific area for a small duration of time.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. New Zealand.
Yeah, I was also invited out to Paris to go and work at the Paris show in November. I don't know if I'm going to do that one this year or not, just because I think it's the first year back after quarantine. And I just don't know if I'll be able to afford it.
See, that is one of those things when you do go somewhere and you got a guest spot already set up, you know, you may spend money getting there and doing stuff, but at least you're getting a little bit of that, you know, kind of back. Takes a little bit of the stress away from what you're expending.
Right. You know, and if you do things right, yeah, the goal is to break even. In my opinion, the goal is to break even if you go to work at a show overseas, right? Because you're going to be putting out a ton of money just to get there. So if you can at least make that money back, then it's been a good trip.
All right. Yeah, I ain't decided what I'm gonna paint on the rest of this camper yet. Think about murals. I ain't decided.
Yeah, you got some time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of just using it as my little studio, and I'm gonna do some biker events, but other than that, I'm not really, you know, I'm trying to make sure I have everything with a really firm foundation before I start building everything up.
Right.
Like I literally went through almost all of my socials, and I feel like where I'm at artistically is different than where I was kind of tattooing in these production places. And I don't want the reflection of what I'm trying to do now to be, you know, that of what I was doing then.
Right. Time to reinvent yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm trying to build everything from the ground up. But at least I know if it, you know, if it don't work, I ain't got nobody to blame but me. You know,
right.
I only, you know, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we all go through periods of time like that in life for sure, where it's time to take a step back and just kind of reevaluate, where am I in life? What am I doing to better my life? And am I choosing the life that I want to have instead of just settling for a life that was given to me? You know,
Life's
make that choice. It is. It really, really is. But so few people actually follow what it is they want to do.
There's hard choices doing that. You face a lot of hard decisions, man.
Yeah.
You know, walking that line, you know, it's great when you're thinking morally or integrity speaking. You know, you'd like to think, well, in this situation, I'll respond this way. You know, I would definitely do this. But, you know, if history's done nothing but teach us, you know, a lot of people that you wouldn't think in those situations would respond that way. That's exactly how you respond. Because people don't realize that I think the human mentality, it's based on a lot more primordial things than we like to give ourselves credit for. You know, I think we think we're a little more complicated than we are, but we actually function on some pretty baser, you know, instincts on 90% of our things. If you're thirsty, you get a drink, you know, and that spawns your thinking about being thirsty. And I need to get a cup. Well, what do I want to drink? You know, everything kind of stems from them baser things. And I think when people get so wrapped up in like a lot of these careers that they hate or doing things that they need to, you know, they get in this mentality, well, I have to do what I need to do so that I can do what I want to do, which that's philosophy I adopted for a few years, you know. But if you can figure out how to do what you want to do and still being able to do what you need to do, shouldn't that be the goal? You know what I mean?
I can see that. I can see your point. I think it all comes down to, you know, fundamentals and what other factors are there. For example, if you're married and you've got, you know, 5 kids at home, maybe you don't exactly have the option to kick back and become a painter and live off of the money that you have doing paintings because you have higher concerns. You know, and I know that there were several people I've met in my life that it was either, you know, take a step back and be able to provide for family, be able to, you know, have consistent, steady income so that that way they know, okay, well, if Johnny needs shoes, I can get Johnny shoes. If Mary needs ballet lessons, I can get Mary ballet lessons. It allows them to budget more effectively rather than having, you know, an inconsistent income where maybe they can't exactly budget that far out because they don't know what they're going to make next week. They could have a whole week worth of call outs. They don't know, you know, so it allows them to be more consistent and thus plan and predict behaviors a little bit better. If you're in the situation where, you know, you don't necessarily have to factor that in and you're pretty savvy about budgeting and marketing and you've got a semi-consistent income, then there's absolutely no reason why you can't do that. But sometimes there are other factors that come into it, and different ways of looking at the same thing that, you know, is something that people don't really plan on. Perfect example. I love to travel and I love to tattoo. I love to travel and tattoo as well, right? Can I do that at this point in time and just kick back, be without a studio and just travel and tattoo? No, I can't. I have other financial obligations. I have other things that I've already signed up for that require that type of income, that type of consistency and that type of payment in order for me to actually follow through on what I say I'm going to do. You know, if it was up to me, I'd kick back and I'd just be like, nah, screw it. I'm going to Spain next week. I'm just going to go and tattoo in Spain. Oh, wait, but I've never tattooed in Spain and that's going to cost me a whole bunch of money to get over there. And I also don't have anywhere to stay. So that's going to cost money. So right now, doing what I'm doing, working where I'm working, doing everything that I'm doing is helping me to achieve the goal of being able to do that eventually. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolute sense.
You know? So for me, that's just the way that I view things. That's my 2 cents. You know, everyone's got their own opinion and I respect all of them because there's a lot of opinions and perspectives out there I have not experienced. So I can't really comment on it.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm willing to listen to everyone's ideas.
You're talking about the position of FU. That's what that is. There's this video or movie or whatever where John Goodman, I think he's talking to Mark Wahlberg or something, but he's like, you want to do everything from the position of FU, you know, like having enough or having something steady enough that, you know, you got your income and all that. And you don't have to worry about, you know, well, if someone doesn't like what you're doing, you can pretty much say F you. You know, I've got enough, enough money saved up now. Boss don't like something, you know, F you. It's kind of that the position of FU. Does that make sense?
Right. And I understand that. And that is a great ideal. You know, I think especially for younger tattoo artists, you know, people just getting started in the industry. I'm a 100% advocate that, yeah, go out, get a part-time job, work at Starbucks, get healthcare from them while you're doing tattoos, build your clientele base. That way you still have consistent income, you know, so you're not struggling with bills and you can afford supplies and you're not relying upon the walk-ins. You know, you can really sit down and start to build that kind of a clientele base. Do that. Get those loyal customers that start bringing in their friends, their family members, you know, friends and cousins and neighbors and all that stuff. Until you have that kind of a client base built up, have a second job. Don't be afraid to do that because that's what's going to help you survive in the interim. And eventually you'll get to that point where you no longer need that second job because you've got consistent income. You've got that kind of predictability. And that's when you have reached that FU point where you can sit back and be like, nah, I don't like this. I'm out. Later, guys.
Yeah.
You know, but that's all in preparation for doing what it is that you want to do.
It takes a lot to get into that position.
It does. I know. I used to work 2 full-time jobs. I was tattooing full-time and I had a full-time 9 to 5. I was spending 40 to 45 hours every week at the studio tattooing, every single night, every weekend, all weekend long. I had no time off. I barely had time to do laundry. Right. And that's what allowed me to get to the point that I'm at, where I had saved enough money. I had built up the clientele base that I didn't have to worry about taking a step back from the 9 to 5 and doing tattoos full time, because number one, I had financially already prepared for that and had been preparing for that for 10 years. You know, but that's 10 long years of 80 hours a week to get to that point. So I'm an advocate of that. You know, we struggle and we strive to get to a point that we can reach that point and we can say, no, this is all I'm doing. You know, and it's not easy. It is very not easy. But if you have that kind of determination, you'll make it, you'll do it.
I don't know about determination, but I'm definitely stubborn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think those two go hand in hand.
There's some overlap.
Thin line.
Yeah, there's definitely overlap there.
All right, I'm gonna get off here. My old lady wants to go to the store.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, it's nice having you on.
Yeah, man.
We're probably not going to be on for too much longer anyway, so.
All right. I'll keep.
Well, you don't like me, Jason?
I like you just fine, man. I'm just saying I got other stuff I got to get done today.
I'm just messing.
I mean, I don't want to be the smelly guy at the studio, which means I have to do laundry. Not that I want to do laundry, but I kind of have to. If I don't want to be the smelly guy.
I guess.
I mean, we
that's
still
fair.
got like another 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. What are you working on?
I'm working on another one of these lava rock paintings.
Ooh.
Been trying to.
Did we get a sneak peek?
Yeah, I've been trying to pull in some more blues and purples to try and brighten up that foreground rock a little bit. Although looking at it now, I'm definitely going to need to brighten it a bit more.
Awesome. Keep that up for a second. I'm going to stop my video. There we go. Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I got some light rays playing off of it, try to incorporate some brighter blues. Still looks a little too dark in my eyes, but you know, another layer should help that up. So
one thing that I've always found was always helpful was to create, especially if I'm working on kind of a light source type area. And let me grab a painting that I did a while back that's kind of along the same lines. Maybe it might be helpful. So these are two paintings I started a few years back. Let's do. I did these a couple years ago. You know, just doing studies with texture and light, stuff like that. So started that guy. And I mean, obviously the camera's not going to do the colors any justice. But I've always found, and especially when you're doing something like that with a lot of organic texture, having your definitive termination line for light is always going to be helpful for creating that rhythm.
Right.
You know, because if you look at a lot of stuff, a lot of things, so this is just another example. Oh, guess it was upside down. You start to develop rhythm, you know, where you have light, dark, light, even though it goes warm, desaturated, cool. So you start to blend the two together, but it creates almost that rhythm where it's light to dark, dark to light, light to dark, dark to light. You know, so it's just a very consistent light, or dark, light, dark. That usually helps create that rounded look.
Okay.
So have that termination line for where that light is like overlapping. So it's going to go from very light on the edges, and then it's going to start to get darker. And then you're going to start to see a lot of reflective light come in and get lighter again.
Right.
Right towards that middle portion.
Okay.
But it also depends on how intense the light is. If your backlight behind those objects is super intense, you're going to be working with a very, very, very dark presence in front of that light. You know, you're still going to have some reflective light. Yeah. So it's not going to be pure black, but the intensity of light behind that obstruction needs to accurately reflect how dark the shadow is on the obstruction, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Now that's the part I'm still trying to figure out, is like how light to go with it, because, you know, I poured out, originally I had just like blacks and dark blues, and that was too dark, too overbearing. And then so now I pulled out some like kind of medium blues, and even then, you know, you saw how that was on the edges. That was barely looked like it did much. So it's just, I'm trying to find where that level is that is right on the other side, but not overbearing and taking over the light source.
Well, now let me ask you this. Those lava rocks you have in the background that are your light source, those are very warm colors.
Right.
So then wouldn't the light on the edges of those obstructed areas be warm?
Yeah, I've got to go through and add those little warm highlights as well in there.
Yeah, I struggled with that concept for a very long time. I was like, but I don't get it. And then it's like it clicked one day and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been learning a lot of color, hanging around and working with font a bit.
Yeah, man, there's color is one of the most incredible things to see people that master it and that can use it to its absolutely most efficient. It's incredible.
Yeah.
From playing with saturated tones to desaturated tones to warm versus cool, light versus dark. You know, it's just, and then subtleties within each of those categories is just like another level of being an expert artist to me.
Right. Yeah, it's an endless world of colors to play with.
And who doesn't love playing with color? I do. I love it.
Maybe black and gray artists.
Yeah, true. And there is something to be said about the skill to be able to create a three-dimensional field of depth using nothing but light values. Right.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. And that does take a lot of talent. Completely agree. Especially when you're dealing with texture contrast, when you're dealing with, you know, different types of subject matter contrast, which is almost never discussed. You know, it's just another level of contrast. And when I say subject matter contrast, I mean, what I'm really talking about is if you have a skull in there, balance out that skull, which is usually very dark imagery, balance that out with something lighter, right? As far as subject matter is concerned, maybe flowers, Maybe it's a kid's baseball glove. Maybe it's, something that brings you joy. Or like, I don't even know, a bowl of fruit, right? Like an apple or some grapes or something to balance out that subject matter contrast. Otherwise, it's just going to be super, super, super dark. And if that's what you're going for, great, awesome, more power to you. But it's often a form of contrast that I think people don't really, well, I mean, I guess it all kind of depends on what they're going for, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
If you want something super dark, then yeah, just do a skull, do a couple of skulls. Do a skull and a skeleton hand. Why not? Or like a skull and a poison bottle. That'd be cool. Why not? But if you really want to have a dramatic impact, you have to start thinking about additional elements and additional aspects to what it is you're doing. Otherwise, it's like, oh, cool. You can draw skulls. Cool.
Right.
There are lots of people that can draw skulls.
But you can
Why is
frame
yours
it in a
any
way that'll
different
make
than
it pop
theirs?
out more.
Right. Have an impact. Take your time. Put some thought into it. Put some extra energy into it, where you put some extra thought into it, where you really sit down and you start to really think about, what message am I trying to convey here? What kind of a story am I trying to tell? What is my purpose behind creating this work of art? What's the story? What are you trying to do? What reasoning do you have for painting this?
Right.
So Julian Escobar just made a comment in the YouTube saying, I've been tattooing for about 5 years now. About a year ago, I decided to take a second job. How did you manage to balance out your day job and keep tattooing? I didn't. I didn't. I had zero life. I lost a lot of friends because of it. I resigned myself to never having a long-term relationship because this is my life. I didn't have time for it. I was in short relationships here and there, but none of them lasted, mostly just because I didn't have time to put into it. It's not something that I really encourage too many people to do, because it really does take up every ounce of your time. If you really are just using that to help you get to the point where you no longer have to do it, then that's one thing. But if you're going through and you're doing it trying to maintain both in perpetuity, for forever, then that is not a good idea. You will have to make that decision one way or the other. If you are going through and you're just doing it to support yourself while you're getting that clientele built up, while you're getting that reputation built up, while you're making these network contacts that will allow you to be like, I want to move to Scotland and tattoo in Scotland. While you're getting to that point, it's great and it does work. You have to be very strict with your scheduling. Like, you have to say, nope, at 3 o'clock, whatever it is I'm doing, I'm done. That's laundry time. Now I have to go and do laundry. Oh, 6 o'clock hit. Now I need to sit down and do meal prep for the week. I need to go through, get all of my ingredients. Oh, it's 9 o'clock. From 9 till midnight every night, I'm going to sit down and draw for the week, and get done as much as I can get done, and then midnight till 2, that is my time to draw and paint for me. That's my me time. And then from 2 till 9, that's sleep, right? Or 2 till 8 is sleep. That's sleep time. That's when I'm asleep. At 8 o'clock, I wake up and I get to my 9 to 5 and I work from 9 to 5, the next day. And then I leave there and I get home. I eat, go straight to the studio, work there till 10, 11, go home, And then from 11 till midnight, draw for the next day. Midnight till 2, draw for me. 2 till 8, sleep time. 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock, get up, get showered, get dressed, get ready for work, go to work. Work 9 till 5, lather, rinse, repeat. That's you have to be very strict with your scheduling, very strict. If you are not that disciplined and that strict with your scheduling, you will never be able to maintain both to a sufficient level to really progress at one or the other. So you have to be disciplined, and you have to learn to say no a lot. And it sucks, but it's what you got to do. In life, it's all about finding balance between what are you willing to give up to have what you're trying to achieve? Are you willing to give up friendships? Are you willing to give up relationships? Are you willing to give up consistency? Are you willing to give up, future goals and plans, or financial assurance, or financial security, or, having a pet? What are you willing to give up? Because whatever you're willing to give up, that's going to put you to a little bit closer to what it is you're trying to achieve, because you now have more time to dedicate to that. Looking back, would I have done something differently? Absolutely not. I partied my ass off for about 10 years because I had all this disposable income, right? I was working a full-time 9 to 5, and I was tattooing full-time at a cash-only studio. So I was like, hell yeah, let's have a good time. I only had 2 weeks a year where I actually had free time, and that was vacation, right? Most of that I spent traveling, going to different conventions, or like I'd take a week off here for the holidays and then a week in the summer for convention traveling or working at a show or doing a guest spot or something like that. I absolutely would not change that. Not at all. It taught me what I was capable of. When you realize that you can work 80 hours a week and still survive, and you're willing to really bust your butt that hard to achieve that, and you achieve it and you get there and you're like, I made it. This is awesome. Now I can just kick back and do what I want. Absolutely. I wouldn't give that up for the world. I learned a lot of things in that period of time. The biggest thing for me was learning how to be happy on my own. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
Because after I learned that I'm happy on my own, I don't really need anyone else. I don't. I'm very happy being myself. I have a cat now. I actually have time for a pet. That's pretty cool. Although she's a little diva, but I love her nonetheless. But no, I wouldn't change anything. I would not be who I am today if I hadn't gone through that. It was a struggle at times, yeah, but wouldn't change it.
Very well put.
Yeah, nothing in life that's going to be worth it is going to be easy. And nothing that's easy in life is really going to be worth it. Cool. On that note, I'm going to go through and I'm going to stop my video, Kyle. And why don't you go ahead and give us a little sign off?
Sure. My name's Kyle. You can find me online at Skies of Fire Tattoo on Instagram, skiesoffireTattoo.com. I work for the Reinventing Network doing background tech stuff, and also at the True Tubes warehouse now. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in today. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have everyone on here. Feel free to tune in again next week for our 4th of July special. Who knows, maybe I'll be broadcasting from the beach. I wouldn't really recommend doing that with electronics, but you know,
You stay close enough to
we'll
the
see.
sand,
We'll
you'll
see
be
what
fine.
happens. I haven't been to a beach in, well, the New Jersey beach, which is the closest one to me. I've not been there in about 8 years because I usually just work through the summers and spring and all of the other times when people are there. So, but who knows? Who knows where I'll be? But thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and watching today. My name is Jason Leeser. You can always find me at, did I close? Yeah, I closed that out. You can always find me on Instagram at Philly Inc. Feel free to send me a DM on there if you ever want to be a part of this. You can also reach me on Gmail at jasonltattoos@gmail.com. And yeah, or just email management at Reinventing and tell them you're trying to get in touch with me. They'll put you in touch. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and, you know, catch us next week. So until then, thank you very much. Keep those hands busy and keep those pencils moving, and cheers.